Okay. I'll tell
Jesse.
Kate you said hi.
Yes. Kate.
Season's greetings. This is Elizabeth Williams, candidate for state representative of Arkansas's 80th House District. I'm reaching out to remind the check your voter registration.
Are you going to plug the
and to keep up with our website.
I'm sorry. I'm going to plug the other.
Until next time, love and appreciate your friends and family. Roosevelt. Paid for.
It goes all.
New Year's resolution. If you are looking for a way to help our community, KBF Radio invites you to be a part of our essential crew of volunteers that keep KBF the voice of the people. Fulfill its mission to inform, empower, and engage our listening audience to take action that serves the immediate needs and the common good of our diverse community. If there's something that you might like to do, call or text.
How you doing this morning?
How are you?
I'm doing well.
6335.
Beginning. So I hope everybody's happy and enjoying their day, their morning so far. Good morning, so far. So, um, I'm your host for the workplace, Toney Orr, and as always, the workplace is sponsored and underwritten by United Labor Unions Local 100 for the people, by the people. Just want to thank you once again for tuning in this morning. Before we get going, and I have some things I want to do before we really get into the show. But before I do that, I want to give my co-host, the Reverend Dr. Denise an opportunity to greet all of you.
Well, Grand Rising humans, it is Thursday and we are here for the workplace. Also want to remind you, Habari Ghani, what's the news? Today is Thursday, so the news is Ujima. We're talking about collective work and responsibility. Those of you who are celebrating Kwanzaa, Habari Ghani, Ujima today. Thanks for joining us.
Okay. And so I just want to take this time, like I said, this is the end of another year. No matter how this year has gone for some of us, whether it's been traumatic, whether it's been eventful, whether it's been fruitful, whether it's been exciting, whether it's been a roller coaster, whether it's been prosperous, however your year has gone, the one thing I do want to take a moment to say and thank so many people. There are a lot of different people and organizations I have to thank for your time, your support of KABF 88.3 FM. Want to thank the Darrow Foundation. Thank you for always being there with your grants to help KABF. Want to thank Central Arkansas Library System, a partner here at KABF. Want to thank all of you for the donations, the pledges, the work you've done. Everybody, all the different hosts, all the different people who have done fundraisers, who have gone to Whitewater Tavern and set up fundraisers, who have gone out to different places, around the state of Arkansas, doing what you do in promoting KABF 88.3. Thank you, Larry Cross, Angel and Larry Cross, for the work that you do up at Mountain Home. Really appreciate you. Want to thank all our affiliates. Want to thank WFAM in New Orleans who play our shows down there. Want to thank all our hosts in Kampala, Uganda. Want to thank all our hosts in Kenya, in Nairobi. Want to thank all our stations through Acorn International in Douala, Cameroon, in Acorn, Canada, in Toronto, Ottawa, Vancouver, and Hamilton. Want to thank Acorn India in Mumbai and New Delhi. Want to thank Acorn Italy in Rome, and Acorn Sicily, and Acorn UK, in Manchester, London, and all the different areas, all the different cities in the UK. Acorn France and the Alliance, who help support KABF 88.3. Want to thank the Netherlands and Australia and New Zealand, all these countries that continue to support what we do at KABF. It may not be a financial support, but just the fact that they're playing our shows, just the fact they're listening to our talk shows, just the fact that they sent us emails wanting merchandise lets us know that they are in tune with Voice of the People. So we just really, really thank all of you in all these different countries, all these different places, all these different faces that come together to make KABF 88.3 FM the worldwide information platform for so many people. So once again, we thank you, and I thank you I just thank you for all that you do. Let me take this call real quick. Caller, you're there.
Yes, sir.
Yes, can you turn your radio down?
I don't have a radio.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Oh, but not on the speaker. Okay. I was just calling to see, could I get in contact with the person that has the justice program at Minnesota? I think once a week he come on.
If you can give me a call, here's my number, 501-247-3869. Give me a call around 10:15, and I can give you that information.
Okay then, I will call this number or your number.
Call my number, 501.
Okay, well, I'm gonna have to write it down. Just hold for a second. Okay.
501 247 3869.
I'll repeat it. 501-247-3869.
Yes, sir.
Okay, what's your name again?
Tony.
Tony, okay, Mr. Tony.
All right. Thank you for listening.
Yes, sir.
And so, as I was saying, just want to just give gratitude to once again to all the different factors, all the different factions, all the different things and organizations that go in to making KABF 88.3 FM the voice of the people, not just here in Central Arkansas, but worldwide. People are listening, people are commenting. It's when I go to other countries and hear these countries, hear people talk about some of the shows they're listening to, some of the topics that are being discussed. It really makes me feel a sense of gratitude for this 100,000 watt platform. And so today, it's the end of the year. And so what I want to do today, I want for you, the listening audience, to call in and tell me, what was it about this year that was most memorable to you, was most is something that you felt like was messed up, something you felt like may have felt like shouldn't have happened, or a comment about a law that was made or passed. Just tell us what it is that you will remember about 2023. And also, I almost forgot. And I didn't do this Tuesday, but I want to do it today. Also, I want to thank everybody that hit me up on Facebook on my birthday. It's the last Saturday. I didn't look. It was, I think, Sunday before I actually looked at Facebook. And it was so many comments. And I just really thank you for all your comments and all your well wishes. So I really appreciate it. But like I said, I want you to call in today just to tell us about what 2023, what it was that will make this a memorable year, and what it was that may not make this a memorable year. But what is it that you would like to leave us with about 2023? Anything that you would want to add to that, Denise? What made 2020? What would you remember about 2023?
Well, right now, what I can remember is, and I posted this on my Facebook page, Denise Danielle is the one with the bald head, the sermon from Reverend Munther Isaac, who is the pastor of the Evangelical Lutheran Christian Church in Bethlehem. And so I was listening to his sermon, and one of the things that he said about the fact that they canceled Christmas in Gaza because of the war. And he mentioned how Western Christian in America, we sent bombs to Gaza for Christmas, while we in America were celebrating what we call the birth of some people's Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And so that has been ringing in my mind, not just that part, but that entire sermon. Again, it's posted on my Facebook page. My Facebook page is public, so you don't have to be my friend in order to listen to it. But I would encourage everyone to listen to the sermon that he preached on the Saturday before America, the rest of the world, or whoever was celebrating Christmas, while they are still mourning the loss of over 20,000 people who have died because of this war.
Caller, you in there?
The thing that made me is, going back years ago when I took the office, it wasn't equal for what I know most is past is every time the next thing. Sometimes the things she took was the things that I could have a lot of little programs, yeah. And what was nice about yeah, it's always peaceful and have the speakers to have reason and around the stop and take a book. But I'm over a few years. It's just there's this less people out there for the life rate. So that's something that I've noticed about kids. Yet that's more or less like I often not going to the classes and then starting. But if kids get back on the path of being a better body, I just want to raise another way for continue the rhetoric. Maybe one day we have to really be all people and peace. Thank you very much. Hope everyone has a good year.
Okay, thank you.
Can you repeat what he said? Because I couldn't hear.
It was in and out, but the one thing that I did hear at the end, he stated that he wished or hoped that KBF would stop the rhetoric, that it would not concentrate on one race, but get back to being for all the people, and that that was his wish for the coming year. And so, I think that KBF is for all the people. Whatever show, there are shows that are geared towards one thing, whether it's a jazz show or a gospel show or a talk show. That's what makes it Voice of the People, and that's why it includes all people, because all different shows cater to different things, and so I think KBF is and always has been a voice for every person in every area, and so I don't know about rhetoric, but I think that KBF, and I know KBF discusses subjects and topics that are very necessary for the community. It's a couple of things that makes this year memorable for me, as far as the workplace, in the context of the workplace. One is watching all these different people come together and unionize, come together and organize, whether it's Dollar Store United, whether it's Arkansas Renters United, whether it's Starbucks. People, workers are starting to take back control as much as they can of their own path when it comes to the workplace. It was very great to see the UAW United Auto Workers come together and say, hey, we want more, and we're going to demand more. It was great to see Caterpillar went out on strike. UPS threatened to go out on strike. The locomotive unions, the train unions, they threatened to go out on strike. So there was workers standing up, voicing and taking action about what they wanted and what they wanted management to know, and taking back control as much as they could of their workplaces. And the other memorable thing that I take away from 2023, and I'm not saying these are the only things that made this year memorable, but these are two of the things that are at the top of my list, and it's the Learners Act. And the reason it's memorable to me is because there's this law passed which gutted pretty much a lot of things that were going on when it comes to public education. It really put a hindrance on public education, but it also reminds us of going backwards to when integration came and you had communities giving money to white parents to send their children to private, parochial, and religious schools. And now the same thing is happening with the LEARNS Act, that these vouchers that are being used to give to parents where they can send their children to these same type of schools. I think it's a tragedy. I think it's something that's going to be detrimental to public education, along with how charter schools are being ran. And so that's, for years, it was pushed back here in the state of Arkansas. And then once this new administration came in, it just sailed through a blank sheet of paper, a blank law to be filled in at the whim of those in charge. And so those are the two things that, like I said, is not the totality of the memories of 2023, but those are two of the things that are stand out at the as the top of my list.
I want to take a moment to say, hey, Junior, I see you on Facebook. William Randolph is tuned in this morning. It's good to have you present with us in this space. It's interesting that you mentioned the LEARNS Act, especially on the heels of the caller who called in and talked about rhetoric. I think we used the word, well, there are different ways to use the word rhetoric. And so I don't necessarily push back on it, considering that one of the definitions is the study of the effective use of language. And so when we talk about the LEARNS Act, and not just what's happening here in Arkansas, but throughout this country, with the inability, the unwillingness of people to want to discuss the true history, the more accurate history, the most accurate history of who we are as America, and how we use the system of racism throughout this world to degrade the lives of people that have more melanin in their skin. When he says that he doesn't want us to center or talk about one group, Community Voices, I know for a fact, centers the lives of Black folks. It centers Blackness so that we can put it in context of what's happening throughout the entire world. And so when we refuse to allow those kinds of stories, when we always push back, when we're always trying to silence the voices of Blackness, it is telling. And so then it also reminds us that we should not be surprised when there are people who don't want to hear about Blackness, when something like the LEARNS Act comes up, when we are not allowing the true, the full rich, it's rich, the rich history of who we are as people. So I just think it's very interesting that you brought the LEARNS Act up after I know you didn't do it just because he said that, but I thought it was interesting. And then Phyllis Brown says KABF features about 100 volunteer programs. It's laughable that you would say rhetoric in the context that the caller was using.
Yes, I think sometimes people try to pigeonhole KABF. I meet people who, when you mention KABF, they say, oh, the gospel station, or the jazz station, or the blues station. And I have to tell them, so no, those are just some of the shows, because the culture is a radio station is one genre. That's how a lot of radio stations are one genre. And when you find a station that has so many different genres, it kind of throws people off. Caller, you on the air.
Peace and love, y'all. Brother Toney here. Now, what's most memorable is the faulty equipment you had, and then the new equipment you bought. It seemed like it's just as bad as the equipment you had. So I would say the people that donated would want our money back for that faulty equipment. Like you got an Echo right now, people that call in can't get their thoughts together. And another thing, the drop in callers. Usually, when we started out, it seemed like we had a family-oriented deal where the fans could call in. Now we're down to maybe one or two callers. And I don't know whether it's because of the Facebook ventriloquist. Am I saying that right? Ventriloquist? Using y'all like, or you, the sister, like, they got to say what they got to say through her instead of calling in. That's the most memorable to me. And let me tell you about this pocket safety real quick. I I say anytime that you can set up in Petaway Park after you have hurt that white boy feelings for sure. I ain't talking about my feelings. Yeah, you are in the ark of safety because I guess we are in the Bible Belt, but I don't think you can do something like that in Chicago or other towns. And then I think you forget gang banging in Little Rock was very, very noticeable. But the people here have a different light, and then I keep talking like this because of the echo. But that's what's most memorable. Yeah, you are in the occupation. Now that's another picture. But the big picture is we have a lot of prayer warriors here. Now there are some things that happen, but I am convinced because of our ley line, we are in the ark of safety. Again, peace and love to all.
So the question Phyllis Brown has for Solar Beam when he was talking about wanting his money back is, do you have any money to give back? Did you make a contribution?
Yeah, and so the one thing that I have been asked on several occasions, a lot of occasions, and is about the equipment. And honestly, at the end of the day, the board controls the radio station, and I'm president of the board. So whatever's wrong with the equipment, that falls on me, and the board. We have done our best to try to correct all the different issues that have arisen, and there's quite a few. And we will continue to address those issues until they're all solved. I do understand the frustration of our listening audience. I do understand the frustration of those who try to get on our website at times. I understand. And we, as a station, as a board, we are doing our best to correct these issues. I know it may not be as fast as some people would like to see it, and sometimes it may seem like nothing is happening, but we are doing, I don't want to say, we are doing what we can do, and for any inconvenience to anybody, I'm speaking for the board and for the station itself. We apologize. We will continue to work on it.
So here's another statement for Solar Beam from Phyllis Brown. So Solar Beam, you cannot and do not control my voice. Perhaps you should stop calling with your ludicrous, senseless rhetoric. And I don't think that Solar Beam realizes, or maybe he does because somebody told him that he should stop calling so much. But I think that it is clear to me that Solar Beam in particular wants to use KABF, not just Community Voices and not just the workplace, but KABF as a whole because of the number of shows that he calls in on as his platform. And that's not what I'm here for. So when you talk about the number of calls that are coming in, it is important to me that we have calls that move us forward in the conversation, and very rarely do your statements do that for us.
Call you there.
Yes, sir. I stand 100% supplement, and like KBS 4 weeks and she is painful. She has a lot of difficulty experience, and if we can get that part taken care and take care of the 60 cycle hurt coming through, that would be better. More so you, less to me. Thank you.
Can you repeat what he said?
I could barely hear him. It was breaking up.
Okay, well, I don't have a response to that because I don't know what he said.
I think the one thing we have to remember, and Denise, you spoke of it a second ago. A lot of people, I get so many text messages and emails when I get off the air from people who have listened. Some people just don't want to come on the air for whatever reason. I think one of the reasons I can speak for my show and just being a part of Community Voices, when there is a topic that gets everybody excited, yeah, everybody want to call in. When it's a deep conversation about what's going on in society, what's going on socially, what's being done to people of color. When it starts to get to those conversations, a lot of people don't want to call in and get involved with that because they don't want to have the conversation. And so I never worry about the call volume. If people call in, they call in. If they don't, they don't. But the one thing that KBF has, like I said, has been doing for almost 40 years is making sure that whatever show is that it's going to connect to the people, whether it's music, whether it's talk, whether it's political talk, whatever it is there to connect to the people. You're on there.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you. We can hear you better.
Great. Okay. I've been listening long enough to know what the speakers are doing now. Denise is the problem. I stand with solar being 100%. I'd like to hear less Denise. I'd like to hear more solar. The reason why is you can hear the whole picture on the voice. Look, none of us are speakers, but some of us can own extreme ownership of what we are saying. I'm speaking truthfully, I'm speaking compassionately, and I'm speaking as someone who's been listening to KBS for a long time. The other thing we need to get something done is electrical on the 60 cycle hertz home is continuously coming through the broadcast. And that's what's up. And the next on you on any platform and talk to you with rhythm, pauses and breath. Someone who does know the difference between jargon, rhetoric, and someone who can speak with the most eloquent solution to most of the things that you give a damn about. You either know or you don't. Yes, the sort of thing knows because you can get more compassion in his voice. That's what's up. Have a nice day. God bless.
So Phyllis Brown says, be real, KABF is community supported and a community service, not commercially supported. So it's interesting to me that we talk about, especially when we're talking about community voices, the importance of understanding and recognizing the power that you have and being able to exercise that power. Phyllis Brown says KABF has been operating since 1988. I think it's 1984. Is it
1984.
1984. And so when we talk about KABF being a community service, being a community radio station, the community has the power to not listen, right? Like if you don't want to hear what Denise is going to say on Community Voices, then you have the power to change the dial.
So I want to say this. There are some shows that connect, that flow together. Community Voices and The Barbershop are two shows that you can connect. Respect for Life is another show that you can connect. They flow differently, but they can connect. And so my concern is you don't call Respect for Life and get on Brother Wayne for saying things about blackness. You don't call The Barbershop and get on Judge Griffin about what he's saying, And
you don't give them grades.
But you'll call and talk about Denise, which I think is, what's the word I want to use? I think it's messed up. That's the word I can use over there. Because to me, you're targeting her and you shouldn't. Because what she is speaking on her show is what she's speaking on her show, is what she has researched, is what she is talking about. I've heard Solar Bean called in on Judge Griffin's show, and Wendell will say, Solar Bean, I ain't got time for that, and hang up. But you don't call him back, or you don't get on another show and talk about him. So if you have a problem, with Denise, then I don't know what to tell you. But the one thing I am going to advise you, if you want to attack somebody, don't attack them because of the show. Because now it makes me feel you're attacking them for some other reason, whether she's a Black woman speaking truth. And if you can't take it, you can't take it. Another thing I want to say is this. Phyllis Brown is right. KABF has been around since 1984. We were the first station to have an LGBTQ show. From my understanding, we have been attacked for years. In fact, our transmitter got burnt down because we had an LGBTQ show. We've had a cannabis show. Nobody ever called up here and got on the person doing a cannabis show talking about you don't need to be talking about weed. Nobody ever did. We've had John Cerner has It Could Be You talking about how you could be incarcerated. Nobody calls and complains about him talking about people going to jail, talking about the disproportionate ways that African Americans are being incarcerated. Nobody has said anything. Pat Ward has a show where she talks about how Republicans, do things. Nobody call her and tell her, how can as a Black person how can as a Black woman you talk about Republicans? No, you agree with Republicans? No. So if you're going to attack KBF, attack it all the way around. Don't just pick one show. Attack everything. And that's my thing. You have your right to an opinion. You have your right. That's why it's community radio. That's why it is Voice of the People. We want to hear your voice. But if you want to use your voice, use it in a way that's going to be constructive and conducive to what KABF is trying to do. Change. We're trying to educate, enlighten, and empower. That's it. Whatever personal feelings you have, don't let those personal feelings bleed into the conversation.
Triana says this, seems like they support the notion a woman should be seen and not heard in 2023. Yet you are a community supporter. I think she's talking about me. Seems like they support the notion a woman should be seen and not heard in 2023. Yet you are a community supporter.
And so then let me tell you something. When you talk about Petaway Park and playing dominoes, evidently you haven't spent time in Chicago, because you can go, and for those who are from Chicago listening to me, y'all know we can go to Washington Park anytime and play dominoes and shoot ball. We can go to 35th Street on the lakefront and play dominoes and shoot ball. So it's parks that we can go to. But you want to talk about the Arc Estate, the Little Rock, go down to Valentine Street and try to play some dominoes in the park. You want to pick one place and compare it to what you call the Arc Estate. And you can't. You can't.
That reminds me, dominoes in the park tomorrow is indoor dominoes, because we're going to be at the Arkansas Museum of Fine Arts up on the 3rd floor in the community lounge. It's a community lounging area. So since it's cold outside, we'll be playing dominoes in the park. We call it dominoes in the park, but it'll be indoors at the Arkansas Museum of Fine Arts. It's right there on 9th Street, not far from the station.
And also, the topic was, the question was, call and tell us what was memorable about 2023 for you. So it makes me wonder, if KABF was the only memorable thing in your life, what were you doing in 2023?
The calls are about, the calls that have come in are about me, so I'm glad that I'm memorable. I'm like, oh my goodness. over 100 and some shows on KABF. And the one show that they continue to talk about is Community Voices. The one person, the one host that they continue to talk about is Denise Danielle. I'm like, hey,
See, y'all just don't know. I have enough problems with Denise. I have enough issues with Denise. Now y'all pump the hub. Now she's sitting up here with her chest thrown out. She's like, oh.
I'm the most memorable for the whole year. I feel like I need a crown, I need a sash, I need a tiara.
I mean, she's sitting up here grinning from ear to ear, like, oh man.
I'm so excited. To me, that means that something is happening that's right, because my brother and I are convinced that when a person is that angry, when you are that it means that we're touching a truth that's way down deep. And so it's good that your body is telling you, hey, there's something about this that's causing this reaction. Why don't you chase that down?
Caller, you're there.
Good morning, and I hope you guys have a happy new year. I hear somebody talk about black rhetoric. How could you not talk about black issues when every day stuff is being done to us, no matter where you are, Alabama, Tennessee, Georgia, where they're trying to dilute our vote? We got this fool up here in the governor's office playing all kinds of tricks. There's no way you cannot talk about black people every day, because every day stuff is being perpetrated to hurt us. And if you heard Nikki Haley ask the question about
Civil War,
how do you think the Civil War started, she gave all this him-haw answer. The guy said, why didn't you mention slavery? And she said, well, what was I supposed to mention about slavery? The guy said, well, I got my answer. So, yeah. Black people are under attack constantly, so that's why you should talk about it as much as you can, because we don't get enough of this kind of radio. Thank you guys, and have a happy new year. And that sounds funny too. Happy New Year.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about. Okay. And when I think about another thing, when I think about the year, we think about 52 weeks in a year, and I don't think even when we weren't live on the air, it was taped. I think majority of the time. So we'll just say 50. We'll just take out.
Community Voices airs every week.
Yeah. So you're talking about we have sat down. Let me do my math right. So that's 104.
52 and 52.
104 shows. Well, no, it's more than twice a week. So that's 104 shows. But possible 104 shows that we have sat here and did shows. And with me, it's even more, because I have Down with Dick.
You got Down with Dick.
Yeah. So I have all these shows. And so you're talking about the amount of conversations that have taken place. In this year, I know you're focusing on what we talk about in conversation about Black people, but you have to go beyond that. We've had conversations about the Learn Act. We have had conversations about ballot issues. We've had conversations about LGBTQ rights. We've had conversations. We had people in the studio talking about community programs. We've had people talking about plays that were Keith Harper talking about the play Skeleton Crew. We've had people call in talking about what was the other play? Class Place. So we give out information about different things that's going on in the community. We've had conversations about and Solar Bean, you should remember this. We've had conversations about adopt the street. We've had conversations about what's going on in the mayor's office. We've had conversations about what's going on with the so our conversations aren't just narrow, and that's what it makes me feel like, is that you're saying that the only thing we ever talk about is what's going on with Black people. Yes, it's a big part of what we talk about, but we talk about so many different things. Whatever the conversation will take us a lot of different places, and we discuss it. Now, I know sometimes people don't talking about race isn't sexy, you know, and we're not trying to make it sexy for you, because these are things that we're going to empower, enlighten, and educate. Is stuff we have to talk about. Caller, you on there?
Good morning, Sister Denise,
Good morning, Ezekiel.
Brother Toney.
What's up, Mac?
And audience, those on the web. Oh, no, I want to give my opinion, which I think is relevant in some instances, other times, opportunity to try to add something positive to the struggle. When I said this struggle, we know what we're talking about. Issues that continue to confront the underserved, the black and brown, who are descendants of funk. Now, I don't feedback on my phone because I turn my radio on, speak. But I hope everything will cross clear and, understand. And the reason I like to give my opinion is because I think good plus good equals good. And when I spoke the last time, I mentioned that I didn't want to, maybe go along with the fact and said something was insulting and it was taken personally, because I too have several ways of coping with situations and trying to get the best out of the situation. You may remember hearing something like, he who lives to get away lives to fight another day. So I don't go around with a chip on my shoulder, because I'd like to be able to confront my enemy and continue the battle from this side of the grave, which is what I mean. I want to leave a legacy. I'd rather continue to fight. I know heaven and all those places are nice and good, but I'm not trying to get there in a hurry. So I try to do things that will be around to continue to do things and influence and perhaps step in ways that are positive. And I would hope most people would think the same way, those of us who are in the struggle, to try to get the most out of it. And as far as the rhetoric or whatever it is about the park, where you know how I feel about the park, I'm right. I don't like to be out in the cold rain. So I look forward to being on the inside if I'm able to do that, because I like beating up on folks when it comes to dominoes. I just don't.
So you're going to throw that in at the last of the year, huh?
I don't chest bump and do all that. I'd rather celebrate after I've won. I don't celebrate and get all into theatrics, if you will. I just try to play the game to win, which is my way of doing things. Time when lots of folks played dominoes and it wasn't something here to brag about. Either they got paid or they didn't. So with that, I just thought that I like opinions. And a lot of times you get very good opinions and sometimes not so good opinions. And I don't like to compare apples and oranges, because, like you said, you got some talk about the Republican Party like backward, and you got others who don't even want to vote, which is, to me, something that I don't agree with, because I think if you advocate voting, you have the biggest target on your back that the enemy can put on it. They'd rather not see you vote than to not see you do anything, as far as I'm concerned. And you have to go in history all the way back to, post-slavery, when after emancipation, to know just how important the vote was then and how important now. And I think anything that garners the attention of an entire Republican Party don't want to see us voting, because while they'll get a Herschel Walker or someone to come against the interests of the so-called black community and put a black person up there that's not even interested in doing for the black community.
So we all agree, for the most part, on things like that, which is evident. I don't hear anybody going along with that kind of foolishness. But when we start this getting at each other all the time, I want to be the like, if that's okay to do. And I'm a duck, so I won't get hit. By that I mean, I'm gonna get on after somebody else talk. My effort is that we all do things together, because conversation is the basis and foundation of all understanding. Or communication is the basis and foundation of all understanding. Thank you very much, and peace.
Phyllis Brown named some more shows. You've been naming shows, the Native American, Indian, Hispanic, Bluegrass, and Blues, just to name a few of the shows on KABF. But I want us to be clear. The pushback from the one caller in particular who called my name, it's the pushback is not about KABF. That's not the point. He said Denise is the problem. Like, let's be clear. And so it's not the shows. I'm not concerned about the shows, because you already mentioned that Respect for Life talks about Blackness. The Barbershop talks about Blackness. They do not call in talking about Wendell Griffin is the problem. They don't call in talking about Brother Wayne is a problem. Denise is the problem. And so when you talk about there have been 104 shows, but for me, there have been 52 shows, because you host, I'm just going to talk about community voices, because you host the workplace. So 52 shows, not even on for a full hour, right? Because by the time we do the station identification, then we have to do the tidbit, then we do the announcements, we greet everybody, then we also have so you don't even have a full hour. So in less than an hour a week for 52 weeks, when you think about the point being made that Denise is the problem, then the question becomes, what is it about Denise? What is it that you know about Denise? And what you know about Denise, the only thing you can possibly know about Denise is that she ain't never scared to talk about whatever it is that needs to be talked about, regardless of how it makes another person feel, because Denise is not here for your comfort. And so again, we have to ask ourselves, when a person makes you feel that kind of way on the inside, what is it? What is that? And what it is that you are now ready to engage in the conversations that are going to move us forward, because the only way that we are going to reach collective liberation is to center the Black body, so that we can make sure we handle our business around how we treat Black folks, so that we won't continue to do it in the future.
Caller, you on the air? Caller? Okay, try it again, caller. Yeah, I agree. And a lot of times when what someone is saying, and I think a lot of times what you are saying flies in the face of beliefs, flies in the face of biases and values and what people think should be. And when that hits, I think it hits a nerve. And you know, I'll be the first one to admit, you know, in conversations we've had on the air, it's difficult at times, you know, like, you know, but in the end, it's conversations that have to happen. Like you said, if we're going to move forward as Black people, but also as humans, if we're going to move forward as human, and Solar Bean, you always talk about a more just and equal system, then you have to have these conversations, because how can you get rid of a system if you're not willing to talk about what the system is doing?
Right, and then to figure out how to use your anger. So to use your anger to attack me is a very elementary way of dealing with your emotions. We have to figure out, how do we channel that anger so that it can be used constructively, so that it can help us with the struggle, as Ezekiel said. Like, so to just talk about a person, a small mind talks about a person. The larger, the better that we are at thinking more deeply and more broadly, we do not target people, we target target issues. And I continue to say this all the time. I don't come for people ever, but I'm always coming for the systems. And I'm going to continue to do that on Community Voices Live. Sometimes we're going to be recorded in 2024, every Tuesday from 9 to 10 a.m.
And one of the things I want to say that's memorable to me, and listening to Mac talk about it, this was probably the most successful year up to date for Domino's in the Park. When I talk about, there were times where we had people waiting. It was people waiting, and because they were waiting, we were sitting down and having great conversation. When we would do and then it kind of transitioned because we would do in and out with tea, and people would come and play dominoes, they would come and play cards. But the effect of it was that we wanted to have a community conversation, and people were just, it was just amazing the amount of people who showed up. Chess Master Toney came out. Just everybody would come out. Everybody would have a great time. But more importantly, we engaged in conversation, which was the greatest thing. So, it was a memorable year for Domino's in the Park, and we hope to continue.
Yeah, I went to the Just Communities of Arkansas hosted the Humanitarian Awards, and I had to do a presentation, and afterwards somebody walked up to me and said, "Y'all still doing Domino's? I want to come." And so this person has never called in. I've never met her before in my life, but she knew who I was, and so she's excited to come to Domino's in the Park. So it does make a difference. Phyllis Brown asks the question, what other radio station in Arkansas offers the High Tower Lowdown? Says these criticisms seem to want to silence analytical thinking. These criticisms seem to want to silence analytical thinking.
Call you on there.
Yes, good to talk to you guys today. By the way, that was my brother who called and said, Happy New Year, huh? That's my brother, yeah. I was going to say about what Denise said, how they singled her out and called her name. I'm going to give you an analogy. They assassinated Martin Luther King, Robert F. Kennedy, and someone else, John F. Kennedy, for example, because these are people who could have really done things to advance black people. There might have been other black leaders, but none of them were assassinated because none of them had the teeth that those three had. Now, Denise, and I like the other show by Brother Wayne and the judge, but what Denise says might change some minds. It has teeth more than anyone else's. So whenever they see something that could better black people, they try to assassinate it. And that's all I'm gonna say. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
I appreciate that. I've said this, but I appreciate that. I've said this before, that one of my goals in life is to be on the top 10 most wanted with the FBI, because they come for the people that can change, right? They come for people who can make a difference. I really appreciate you saying that. I bet it's a hoot to be in the room with him and his brother.
I bet it is. I bet it is.
In the room with both of them.
Yeah, and so I want to also say this. We got a couple of minutes left in the show, and I want to put this out there. KABF has been around for almost 40 years. And in that 40 years, like I said, we have been on the forefront of innovative shows. We've been on the forefront of the voice of the community. And we have been attacked. Like I said, we got our tower burnt down. We got our transmitter burnt down. A lot of stuff happened, but KABF has stood strong. And one of the reasons it stood strong is because of the support of the community, because of the support of you. KABF is not going anywhere. KABF it has survived. And and because it has survived, it's thriving. It may not be thriving in a way that some people may want, but it is thriving. And it's all because of you. Whether for those who enjoy and like what we do at KBF, we are really appreciative. Once again, I'm gonna take the last call of 2023. Caller, you're there.
Yeah, so again, all I ask is y'all not to be hypocrites. If you're asking people to call in and thanking them and all that, saying we're part of this, don't be hypocrites. I mean, that's just one thing. It is what it is. Now, if you don't want me to call in, this is another thing. All you gotta do is do like you did that white boy a year ago. Just say, I'm not gonna accept your call, and I won't waste my time. I love my people, and I'll get on the front line, and I call this front line action. Again, people love God.
Okay, well, that's our last call for 2023. Looking forward to all of you listening in 2024. Keep up, we're going to keep moving, keep doing what we do here on the corner of 21st and Main Street. Enjoy your new year. I'll see you next Thursday for the workplace. Monday for Monday. No. Won't see you Monday for Down with That, but we will be here Tuesday for Community Voices. See you.